Thank you so much for staying with us here on the SportsMax zone. And day 5 of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar saw a total of 8 goals being scored. Here are the results of the 4 matches contested. We had Switzerland overcoming Cameroon 1-0, a 2-0 win for Brazil against Serbia, and in Group H, Uruguay. No goals in that match between Uruguay and South Korea. And Portugal, with that opening penalty from Cristiano Ronaldo, 3-2 against Ghana. Well, one of our football correspondents, Brent Sancho, joins us now to discuss. Good afternoon, Brent.
Good afternoon, Mariah. How are you today?
I'm good. Why are you so happy? Is it that one of your teams here won?
I have many teams in the World Cup this year. I'm just a fan that's looking on and enjoying the football.
All right. Many teams, says Brent Sancho. But Brent, I think it's fitting that we start with that Switzerland win against Cameroon, that winning goal from Mbolo. And he is from Cameroon, but, you know, he paid a lot of respect after scoring.
I'm sure the Cameroonians would have preferred he didn't score. But no, it's a good result for Switzerland. I think that easily they're one of the favourites to come out of the group, a team that has done quite well at the European format of the game. When you drill down into what transpired today, of course, Switzerland was the aggressor. I was a little bit disappointed in Cameroon, Mariah, as it relates to the attacking prowess or lack thereof. They did defend well. They were very organised, but it just missed something at the attacking end, and they didn't create enough chances, of course, to trouble the Swiss. And at the end of the day, I thought the Swiss were comfortable with this by 1-0.
Based on what you saw from Switzerland today, you know, they're up against a team, Cameroon, that you felt as if, you know, they didn't do what we would have expected of them. Do you see Switzerland getting past Brazil when they see them?
I think Brazil, of course, will be a different kettle of fish for Switzerland, where they're good, they're very efficient, they're very organized, they will be resolute in what they do defensively. But as the tournament moves on, I think for Switzerland, it's really about getting out of the group stages and then moving on from there. One thing we must understand, whether it be viewers or whoever is listening to this program, for any team in this World Cup is about getting out your group. Once you get out to your group and you face the one-off games, one-off elimination games, that anything can happen, anything can transpire. But first, you must get out your group, and for Switzerland, that's their task at hand.
And they have actually done that the last 2 World Cups, Brent, so they know how to do it, and they've gotten the start that they needed to set themselves on the way.
Yeah, they even did it in the European Championship, of course, where they beat France as well. So this is a team that's seasoned as it relates to tournament type of experience. It's a team that I think is a danger going forward because they do present some challenges for team. I think Ebola up front is a very good focal point for Switzerland, and defensively led by Akanji from Manchester City. They're very, very strong at the back. So overall and tactically astute as well, maybe just stick that in as part of it. I think overall they're a team that nobody really wants to meet in the second phase of the tournament. But what we've seen so far in this tournament is upsets, and their banana skins there and everywhere else. So for them, as I said, it's really about getting out. Yes, they've done it in the past. Well, let's see if they can do it here. I think they're well on their way to doing that.
Yeah, well, their main Group G rivals would be Brazil, Brent, and Brazil looked pretty fluent this afternoon in their victory in their opening game against a Serbia team that provided some fight in the first half, but Brazil's class in the end came through. And a pretty tidy performance there from the Brazilians, and the Richarlison spectacular strike there, the highlight of the day.
It's funny, they made a stat that Richarlison touched the ball twice, I believe it was, and then he scored. I was saying to the persons I was watching the game with, how is Gabriel Jesus not in the picture? But then, of course, he proved me wrong. But from a Brazil perspective, yes, it's a terrific result. The first half was really about exploration and trying to, of course, break down the Serbian team. But I think once they had the feel of things, then they started to turn the heat on. You can tell, Lance, in the second half, they went up another gear. Of course, their craft, their creativity, their 1v1 ability, their movement. One thing that has impressed me a lot, and I've said this in the Copa that we've covered here in SportsMax about Brazil, is their work rate off the ball when they lose the ball. They try to win it back quite quickly. That's something we don't really see from Brazil. I'm talking about their front three. Normally in Brazil, whether you go back to the days of Romario and Bebeto, their front players don't work hard to win the football back. This Brazil team does, and that presents a team. That's what you call counter-pressing, and they do that a lot. And because of that, they present a big challenge to teams that they play. And I think, obviously, when you look at, of course, today marks the day that everyone's played. When you look at things, you'd have to suggest that Brazil and Spain are the favourites moving forward.
Definitely, Brent. Brazil playing extremely patient football. Let's talk now about the quality of the goals from Brazil. Brazil at the top of Group G on 3 points, and Switzerland right there in second on 3.
Yeah, look, I know that, again, myself as well, there will always be a conversation about whether Gabriel Jesus starts, whether Firmino should be there in the World Cup, and of course, why Richarlison starts. But I think what he did today epitomizes why he starts for Brazil. He works very hard defensively. He's a good focal point. He's good in holding the ball up. And of course, more importantly, he scores a spectacular goal. The second goal was something I can say right now would be, or probably could be in the running for goal of the tournament. And his overall play as it relates to being in front of the goal was quite good. He scored 2 goals. He didn't have many touches, as I mentioned before, but that's what you want from your striker. He's done exceedingly well, and you can easily see him starting in the next fixture. As I said, from a goals perspective, for what Brazil done, in terms of the chances they're creating, I'm very sure there are a lot of people in Sao Paulo, all the way to of course, Rio de Janeiro, will be very, very happy tonight. Well, let me add as well, Port of Spain and Kingston as well, because yes. I think we're part of Brazil.
No, I have to say, Jamaica has a lot of Brazilian supporters. It's as if, you know, Brazil is their home country. A lot of people
Listen, all of Port of Spain went quiet. We have a lot of traffic here in Port of Spain. Brazil played today, and it was silent and quiet. So that tells you what's happening here. I'm sure it's happening in Jamaica as well.
Yeah, and Brent, on another important matter where Brazil is concerned, Neymar came off today. You know, he picked up a knock and ankle injury. The Brazilian fans back home, are they very, very worried about that? Should they be worried?
Yeah, they should be worried. But I think there's a big difference from the Brazil, of course, that hosted the World Cup, the Brazil that played in Russia, that they're not as dependent on Neymar as they have been in the past. This is a team that's been able to understand and feel very comfortable in their skin as to what they need to do to win football matches. So yes, he's injured. Look, don't get me wrong. They need him to be part of the team. He is a very important factor as to what they do. But if he misses a game, I don't think necessarily they would miss him as much as they would have in the past.
Yeah, and let's go now to Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo's goal today, which made him the only player in the history of World Cup football to score in 5 editions of the World Cup. They had to work hard for their victory today, 3-2, Brent. Your thoughts on, first of all, how Portugal did, and the other milestone here, or yet another milestone for CR7?
Well, first of all, I think Portugal made this game a lot harder than it should have been. I thought they were a little bit lackadaisical in their approach. Their movement wasn't as good as we've seen before. They seem to have some problems as it relates in the various departments in their team. But these are kinks that I expect them to iron out and work out. Most importantly, if you are a Portuguese fan, they've scored 3 goals today. Of course, that is a testament to what they're all about. As it relates to the great man, Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously I would suggest that it was quite a soft penalty. More importantly, he's put the ball into the back of the net. And it is a true testament for what this man has done for the sport. You know, we compare so many players to both Cristiano and Messi, and we always find that we compare them in a way that they fall short. It's simply because that these 2 players have been consistently great for such a long time, and it's very hard to live up to. And again, I'm not surprised that he's broken another record.
Yeah, VAR has always, at any level, whether it's league football or international football, coming for a lot of scrutiny. Were you surprised that VAR didn't have a look at that Ronaldo penalty, because you just suggested that you thought it was soft?
It was soft, but it wasn't a clear and obvious error. And,
yes.
and I think that's what most viewers need to understand. That's what VAR is there for. We may have our own judgment as humans watching at it and think that from our perception that it was soft. However, if VAR pulls it up on the screen and it's not a clear and obvious mistake, then it's not going to be pulled back. And at the end of the day, yes, I agree it's a soft penalty, but it was not clear and obvious to be an error on the part of the referee. So, of course, as much as I have my challenges with VAR, we do have to understand the role that it plays and why it's been put in place.
Yeah, a lot of people in the Caribbean, Brent, waiting for an African team to do something special at the World Cup, even eventually going all the way. But Ghana's lost to Portugal today. Another case of, certainly in Qatar, the African teams in a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, and Lance, you know why I'm disappointed with that? Because the goals that they conceded was strictly down to individual errors and concentration. Those are the two things I'm very sure. You talked about, of course, how long you've been in this industry. Those are the same things that we've pegged on African teams for such a long time. Individual errors, lack of concentration, silly mistakes, I can break it down to that. And at the end of the day, at this juncture of where African teams are, several of their players playing at the top flight in Europe, it should not be making these errors. I think when the game went back to 1v1, to 1-1, it should not have gone to 2-1 because the goal that they conceded was a goal that was, of course, decorated with errors, individual errors, and it shouldn't be because a team at the top flight, at the top level that is aspiring to win a World Cup will not make those kind of errors. We've been speaking about this as it relates to African teams since back then, and we're still having the same conversation now. So suggestions of them winning a World Cup is probably not going to happen because of those simple errors.
Just one quick one before we continue, Brent, because we didn't really get a comment from you on the Uruguay-South Korea match, which ended in a scoreless draw. And we saw Luis Suarez, the 35-year-old today, looking a bit tame. Age catching up with him.
Well, I tell you, after seeing this performance, I gave Angus Eve a call and see if I could still make a comeback to get back to the Trinidad squad to get the World Cup. But no, look, I think the likes of Suarez, I could even start probably sticking a pin into Ronaldo as it relates to this. Age will catch up with you, and you know, players like that of course rely on pace, rely on their instinct as it relates to what they do in front of the goal. Once that's gone, it's a problem. And yeah, I agree with you. It's caught up with him. Of course, Uruguay still relies on him and what he brings to the team. I was impressed with what Uruguay can do. I think you hit the nail on the head. The problem they now have is that they don't have a goal scorer. Of course, they have Darren Núñez up front, but he's not World Cup savvy just yet. He's getting there. But they would have thought coming into this World Cup that Suarez would have certainly, of course, given them some sort of impetus going forward. But I'm not sure from what I've seen today if he'll be able to do that.
Yeah, well, the World Cup continues Friday with 4 more fixtures. Let's check it out. So, Group A, Qatar versus Senegal. Netherlands play Ecuador. And in Group B, Wales will be seeing Iran and England versus the USA. Well, Brent, do you want to just call your predictions for that before we leave?
I'm terrified, Mariah. Listen, I'm sat in about 4 or 5 groups making predictions. I've probably gotten all wrong so far. So please don't hold me to those things. I do think Senegal will win the game tomorrow against Qatar. As much as Qatar, what we've seen from them, of course, in the Copa and in the Gold Cup, it's completely different now because they're playing from their old fans, and I think they're a bit nervous. That being said, I do think Senegal will win the game. As it relates, of course,
Netherlands, Ecuador.
Yeah, Netherlands, Ecuador. I think that's a tight one. I think Netherlands will win that one, 2 goals to them. And now I'm going to give you scores as well because I'm getting a bit confident now. So Netherlands will win 2 goals to them. I just think Ecuador, as much as they have done quite well against Qatar, a lot of it was down to the way Qatar played. And I don't think they played particularly well. But I think when they meet a very organized team in, of course, in Netherlands, I think they will struggle. So I may just go with them for that. For my last game, England-USA, hopefully my wife is not listening as she's English. But no, I'm going to go with England. I think they're going to beat the US as much as I think the US have done exceedingly well in terms of how they played. I do think England will come away with the result. So That just got me dinner here tonight, by the way, guys.
Well, Brent, we want to thank you so much, as always, for your input here on the SportsMax Zone. We'll chat again soon.
Certainly, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, viewers, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Lance is going to leave me. He'll be at the track.